Go time. Here we
All
go.
right.
Absolutely live. We'll give folks a few minutes to trickle
Hobby
in.
Champs should be commenting any second now.
Yeah. We'll see who. Yeah, we see who jumps in first. The last couple of days we've been doing this, man. It's been everybody's been jumping in first. To see who's jumping in first, but we'll give folks a few minutes to trickle in here.
Who have you had on?
So, go Omar. You're
first day we had River, our CEO. He was there, and the way we kind of framed it out was kind of interesting because we had River on the first day, which was Thursday, was the first day we did one. And then but he's there more from like he's experiencing it and there more from like a corporate standpoint, right? Because he's representing Card Hedge. He's there from a networking standpoint, trying to make some contacts for the for the business and stuff like that. And so he's enjoying it in a different manner, right? Yesterday we had on Big Scott, who's a big collector. He was there from a collector side, buying wax, buying singles, buying, selling, trading, doing that sort of thing. So it was good to get his insight. And then tonight we have yourself here with us.
Cool.
So it's been a good mix, man. It's been a good mix of folks, and kind of the way it panned out was to kind of have everybody, each one of the folks that we have on, kind of give their own perspective, because again, based on who was there and who we talked to, everybody kind of had a little bit different angle and different purpose for going to the national, right?
So that piece has actually been really interesting.
It worked out great.
And we didn't, Vic, us, man. We don't plan anything. And somehow we planned it out where we got like the corporate piece, and then we had like a hardcore collector, and then we have yourself, who's I would consider a hardcore collector, as well as you got your own channels, and you're dialed in on a few different avenues in the hobby. So
right.
I think ending with you here randomly all kind of ties together nicely. So it's hey, we planned this all out, so we're geniuses.
Yeah, you. Yeah, you are. Well, thanks for having me on, guys. I'm honored to be on with you guys.
Yeah. We've been trying to do this for a while, man. It's been interesting, but man, we appreciate you taking the time for sure.
What, Vic? When did you get down to when did you get to Chicago? Did you get there for the start or?
Yeah, I was here Wednesday afternoon as soon as it opened. So yeah, it was a little hot. I would say it was probably the biggest complaint the first couple days, but. To me, it was one of them things where outside it was extremely hot.
Yeah.
And to me, it was more of the AC unit just couldn't keep up. I'm under the assumption that, they had all the doors open while things were getting set up and all of that. So the room really didn't have enough time to get to temperature. And then you open up the doors and it just couldn't keep up. Because there was certain parts of it that were hot and certain parts of it that were okay.
Yeah. So Big Scott said he felt that the breaker area was hotter than
the worst.
A lot of the other areas. Have you noticed that?
I would say, yeah, but that's the area where you also had all the computers, all the equipment, Oh,
that's another thing too. People don't think about.
Yeah. Lights, camera, action, man. It was just a lot of equipment in there. Yeah.
Yeah, because those guys are breaking, they're streaming, they got lamps, they got all kinds of production going on around them and all that stuff. And that's actually a really good point, Vic, to kind of add to that. So I'm in Houston, and right now we've experienced some pretty hot days in Houston in the past, but right now we're experiencing like the longest string of hot days. And I usually keep my AC set like around 72. And then, even on a super hot day, it might struggle to stay at 72. It might be at 73, 74. But here in these last 2 weeks, it's been struggling to get below 77, 78. Right, because it's just that hot outside, and to your point, right, that these AC systems, they're built to keep things cool, but they're not built to be in an oven, right? And so I didn't even think about that point. I just kind of figured that maybe the facility itself wasn't built, but I didn't wasn't built to maintain AC for that, but I would imagine it would have been, but I didn't think about how hot it's been and the fact that this heat wave is happening everywhere, right? Not just here in Texas.
And the last couple of days have been really comfortable. They even brought out these big fans to like circulate air. They scattered hundreds of those things all over the place. So it was comfortable these last 2 days.
Nice. Well, that's cool. Good. That's good that good thing that they recovered, you know.
Yeah. So let's talk, man. Like the heat, how has the show been for you overall? What have you gotten into?
This has been, you guys, this has been the biggest event. It's not even a card show. A card show isn't a proper adjective for this thing. This is like the biggest card show event that I have ever witnessed in my life.
Wow. Really?
This thing, square footage, it's the biggest, and it has to break attendance records because there was just that many people there, but not enough to where it was you couldn't move like a couple years ago when we had it. Everybody a couple years ago out here, we were walking around like sardines, but because they opened it up, there was a lot more space to maneuver around. It was just huge, man, huge.
It's interesting.
So you've been. This is not your first national, just so everybody knows, right?
Right. Yeah.
Okay. So
my 7th.
All right. So a few years ago, we heard that, I want to say it was the national that happened during COVID or right after COVID or whatever it was, that that was like all-time attendance, and that would never be touched ever again. What is your, going on what you just said? I'm of the impression that these nationals are actually getting bigger. Is that a correct statement on your end, or on my end? Sorry.
No, for sure. You're talking on the corporate side, it's bigger. On the actual footprint is bigger. The actual, the attendance is bigger. Everything about it just seems to be increasing bigger and bigger in the last few years since Fanatics announced their, takeover.
Which is interesting because, Omar and I talk, I think, and Vic, you might kind of have a little bit of a pulse on this as well, but for the average, and this is not to say like we're better than anybody, because we're certainly not, but for the three of us, and for those of us that either are in the industry creating content, writing for various businesses, or partners in a business like Omar and I are, you get to start talking to people, and you see the things that are either A, in the pipeline, or B, kind of right about to come to market. And I think this national was the first time we've seen that corporate area at a national that big. And I think from the explosion that we saw off of the national after COVID, these companies that have all sprouted up and things like that are finally gaining their traction and footing underneath them with products to come to market with, and they want to show them off. Here they are.
Yeah. Yep. Was that corporate space a lot bigger, or was it just like they just had more space to kind of spread their elbows, right?
They did have more space to spread their elbows for sure, but I would say as far as all the big boys were there, but also a lot of the smaller businesses as well. So I think that was a part of why the bigger footprint is, because you had so many other companies there that were, they're not as big as the PSA or Topps or Panini, but they're up and comers like Mascot, like Bluedex, like all of those new tech companies are all involved as well.
Yeah.
Yep.
What was
that piece is interesting.
Yeah.
I'll tell you,
the big standout that are there is what's interesting, right? Some of these ones that are just like, oh, we have something brand spanking new that we've been working on for the last 18 months, and maybe we haven't been able to show it in the last two nationals, but this one, this is our coming out party, right?
Right. Yeah. And I think, two things that I would take away with on this one is the first one is they're going to have to do something about setting something up for a trade night. And I'll be making videos showing you the footage if you haven't seen it already. But there's just like trade nights or trade days, I guess you can call it, right going on right in the middle of the foyer of the National, right where you walk in. There's trade. People are trading back and forth all over the place. I think they're really going to have to designate an area before, during, and after to house these people coming in wanting to do trades. And I mean, that part of it is just, I was awestruck when I saw what I saw today. It was just
that's one of the things. Yeah, I noticed that really big at the last Dallas card show that I went to. I actually went the Friday night to the trade night that was that they had there, and again, we're talking the Dallas card show. Nothing near what the National is, right? But man, that trade night, the buzz that was going on that night at the trade night was insane. I mean, it almost, I mean, I don't know if you had an opportunity to kind of get out of the country and go to some of these like these farmers marketplace type places where there's just there's this huge just rattle of energy going on, and people are just trading and absolutely. And
you know what, guys? Right. We think it's the kids. I'm going to tell you something. There was people that were old, people that were young, there was women, there was every gender, every age group, every ethnicity. That you had old timers down there on the floor trading with kids, and everybody's going back and forth. It was such an energy, man. Such a
that's awesome.
A vibe, a collector vibe, I guess you can call it.
Did you? Let me ask you this: you make any trades yourself?
No, I didn't bring anything to trade. Everything I usually buy that is of value is for PC. So I usually don't hold anything for trade bait. I typically just list it on eBay if I got anything to sell.
I like it.
Yeah.
I have no problems with that.
Any big pickup?
You know what? On that, let me tell you. The first thing is I'm going around all these dealers asking for them Wu-Tang parallels, and people were looking at me like I was crazy asking for a Wu-Tang. But to be honest with you, I was almost coming home with money in my pocket, because for the stuff that I was looking for, and I'm not, everybody has their own thing, but for the stuff that I was looking for, stuff was a little high. And I was looking for vintage rookie cards of Hall of Famers, right?
Okay.
But I already knew what I was looking for. I already know what the comps have been, because I've been keeping my eye on it. And I can tell you everything that I was looking for was somewhere between 20 to 50% over comps.
Wow.
And so when it comes to rookie cards of Hall of Famers, that's something I can get every day.
Right.
I can go on eBay and look at that stuff on the dailies. So why am I going to go over comps here at the show? It just didn't make any sense to me. And kudos to the dealers, because it was like a united front, in my opinion. And secondly, they had people buying it. I mean, if they're making it, let them make it. People didn't seem to mind, but I mean, people who are in the know, people who follow the market, know better.
Yeah. It's always like an interesting psychology experiment, right? Because
exactly
you get people that pay attention to the market, and then you go to these shows, and whether it's big or small or the National or whatever, right? And it's like you see these cards and you're like, man, I know what that's going for. Yeah, I'm not paying $50. It's a $20 card.
Right.
And hey, God, if they're getting it, God bless them.
Yeah, no, but then you try to haggle, try to get a deal, man, and they want to. All right, I'll take $10 off.
Yeah. You're still
sold, buddy. Sold. I'll take two.
Thanks, but no thanks, man. But
it's like what the car industry is doing right now, right? The car industry's marking their cards up $40,000 and then going, I'll tell you what, buddy, I'll give you $20. I'll give you 20,000 off. It's
I
like,
just bought
wait a second.
I just bought a car yesterday. I just went through that.
Yeah,
they're like, yeah, no, that's the price, and I'm like, okay, any room on that? Nah. I'm like, no. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you mentioned that was kind of, you kind of felt like it was a united front, Vic. Was that something that you just saw across the board with all the dealers? Was there or just a handful that were being selective?
Yeah, I can't say that it was all of them, right? It's just a handful, kind of like what I discerned going from table to table,
right,
talking to the dealers. It seems like I'm having the same conversations over and over again. And I waited. I says, well, maybe they'll be a little bit more flexible on Saturday, right? And I did find some stuff today, but I did have to pivot, right? So what I started looking for was Rarity today, and not so much Hall of Fame rookie cards, because I can get that any day of the week. So I pivoted and started looking for Rarity. I found a few cards. I only got a couple of them with me, but I found this. I don't know if you guys can see that.
Oh, nice.
It's a Bowman. It's a reprint of the 1952 blue refractor parallel. Yeah.
I love the. You know what, man? Like, reprints get a lot of crap, but those chrome reprints,
they're done right.
They're sick.
Yeah, they're done right. Yeah.
Yeah, it's proper.
Oh man,
we got a question right here, Vic. This U.S. Sports Cards is asking, what if anything has surprised you about this year's show?
Man, everything about this year's show has surprised me. We were all just literally with our jaws on the ground on the amount of people, on the amount of activity, on the amount of transactions, on just the energy that was in the room, just the beer, the entirety of it all took us all by surprise. I don't think anybody was ready for that when they walked through the door. It was just that big.
Crazy.
Yeah.
The big thing I keep hearing about is the kids, right? Big Scott yesterday was talking about how, there's obviously there's a lot of people there. There's a lot of business people there. There's a lot of corporate folks there. There's older folks that have been collecting for years. He said, but he was really kind of excited to see the amount of young people, sub 20-year-olds, and then, the amount of kids that were there. Not only that were just there holding their mom and dad's hands, but they were there wheeling and dealing. There was, kids buying wax, buying cards, buying singles, selling, trading. I mean, how much of that did you actually see? Because you mentioned a little bit about it. You saw it out in that trade area, but out on the floor, how much of that did you see going on with the kids actually getting into the mix?
Yeah, I would say, the strongest, I would say, is 15 to maybe, 25, somewhere in that range. There was, I've never seen that amount of kids that age there. You also seen some little kids in there, under the age of 8, which to me, the place is too big and it's too crowded for kids that young. But there were there as well. But yeah, definitely kids between ages of 8 and 15, there was plenty of them. And they were extremely excited about the hobby. You had a lot of corporate people doing a lot of amazing things for the kids. And when they were having things for the kids, I mean, it was jam-packed full of kids.
Wow.
That's awesome.
That is awesome. Yeah. Ultimately, at the end of the day, that's what's going to keep this whole thing afloat, right? I mean, it's getting that next generation to experience, the stuff that we experience on a daily basis in this hobby, and getting them excited about it as much as we have, right?
Yeah, for sure.
So outside the heat, Vic, because that's a layup. Well, what's been one thing in your time there this year that you have say, you could do without that?
Well, I would say the one insight pitch, we can call it, is, there was a vote going on for the 2026 National, where it was going to be, the location.
Yep.
The vibe that I was getting with some dealers that I spoke with, they were very they were for it only because they offered that $1,000 discount for the dealers.
Yeah.
To kind of get their vote, right? And I guess they also promised, when I say they, the city officials in New Jersey, I guess, or Atlantic
AC,
City, I'm sorry.
in Atlantic City, yeah.
They also promised a heavier police presence, and the discount. And there was one other thing that they offered.
The premium Wi-Fi.
The premium Wi-Fi. Thank you.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so the dealers that I spoke with seemed to be in favor of that benefit. But now, does that mean Chicago might come back and say, "Hey, we'll give you $1,100"?
Yeah. They're trying
and
to up the end.
We're going to get into the whole political side of it, right? Because we're talking millions of dollars for whatever region lands this thing, right? And so, now it's going to get real interesting. I'm excited to see the result. So
it's interesting you mentioned that, Vic, because I saw one of the big Instagram pages, whether it was Card Porn or there was one of the big pages. I can't remember exactly where and I might have seen it. A couple of different folks reposted it, but I saw the actual little slip that you're talking about. And for those of you that don't know what Vic's talking about, is they handed out and I guess it's to the dealers that you mentioned, Vic, is that they got this sort of voting slip, but basically asking them where they would prefer to have the next, I think it's 2026 or 2025 that they're 26 that they're trying to book. And I think the options were Chicago again, right? And then the other option was Atlanta, and then Atlantic City again. And on Atlantic City, where it said Atlantic City, there was 2 asterisks. And then down at the bottom, the 2 asterisks said Atlantic City is basically saying that if we have it here again, that they're going to give $1,000 credit to all of the tables, the dealers who buy a table. They're also going to give them free Wi-Fi, free premium Wi-Fi, because apparently you got to pay for the premium when you get there. And then the bigger, heavier police presence. So, and again, Vic, to your point, right? I mean, what are they doing there? Are they trying to campaign? Are they swaying? What's going on? Yeah. And I just think it's interesting. I saw that previously, but I didn't know. I wasn't aware that it was a ballot, so to speak.
That's interesting.
Yeah. I didn't even know that was out. That's kudos on you for having your pulse on what's going on, brother.
So, somebody posted it. I mean, I saw it earlier. Okay. Yeah, I saw it earlier, and I thought to myself, well, this is interesting. I thought maybe somebody might have been taking a survey or something like that. I wasn't aware that it was the actual national that had kind of given that as a ballot to all the dealers there, which is interesting. So I'd be curious to see what they end up announcing on that. They need to bring that down to Texas, man. We got all the room for all that. We don't play around.
Like, why not? Right? Atlantic City is terrible.
Yeah, I mean,
there's so much to it, though, guys. Logistically speaking, I'm a big, let's take the building aside, the actual convention center. The convention center is amazing, but so is the one in Atlantic City. With all fairness, right?
Right.
But logistically speaking, building aside, this entire place, it's a village, the village of Rosemont, and this thing is logistically designed to curtail to that convention center. And it's like everything around here, the hotels, the restaurants, the parking, everything is designed perfectly to be convenient to that convention center.
And that's interesting.
Who can hold 50,000 people a day? What convention center comfortably can house that?
Yeah.
My biggest heartburn with Atlantic City is you got to drive 2 hours in to get to it. You got to land at the airport and then take a 2-hour drive. It's like, man.
So logistically, there where the convention center is there in Chicago, it's all you land in. It's all in the same area: the airport, the convention center, the hotels, restaurants, everything.
You're literally 10 minutes from the airport.
Oh wow, that's awesome.
Across the street.
Yeah, that's Atlantic City. I think it's like a 5 or 6 hour drive for me. It's south, right? So I'm up in New England, so it's actually not that bad. But like the whole like River went last year and he had to fly into Philly and then drive whatever it was into Atlantic City because there's no airport. And nobody wants to fly into Newark. You know, that's a disaster.
Yeah, that place is a dump.
You know,
sorry if you guys are from Newark, man, but I
Yeah.
travel internationally for like 3 years, and I literally paid out of pocket if I had to not go through Newark.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
that's crazy.
Yeah, the whole thing, and really just even the staffing to run something like this. I mean, just the piles and piles of garbage that pile up, you know, and they're pretty good here. They got people around the clock cleaning this place up and getting all the garbage out, and you know, it's pretty well ran.
I was trying to ignore that comment, JD, about Texas in July would be tough for Northerners.
Yeah, it would be.
Just suck it up. Suck it up. Bunch of babies.
Yeah, we could all if they did it in Houston, we could all go stay at the Retro Hoops Ranch.
Hey, listen, I got a half acre. You can pitch a tent out there wherever you like, buddy. I'll put you right next to the swimming pool.
Guys got like 37 cars too. We each could drive one.
That's right. Well, 36. But...
We'd be like wild hogs, but we'd be in cars.
Listen, they're not all registered. Half of them don't really work that well. They're misfiring, but it's all good.
All that stuff's overrated, buddy.
Yeah. Well, especially in Texas, we don't care about vehicle registrations around here.
So Vic, we know like your time is tight, and you've got a function coming up. So a couple more questions, and we'll let you go. We've been asking the same question to everybody. You've walked the show now for a few days. What is the coolest thing that has caught your attention?
What is the coolest thing that has grabbed my attention? Oh man.
Yeah. Like your big crap, look at that.
Like, whoa, that's pretty bad. Like, you know what I mean? Like because I know Heritage had a huge posting up there. PSA had that PMG. I wish I would have I wish I would have seen that. That was insane. That's what Big Scott was talking about, and River also was talking about that. Just curious to see if, as you were walking through there, anything caught your eye that you were like, wow, that's actually pretty amazing.
I think a couple of corporates really grabbed my attention this year. They really stepped up their game. That was number one, Golden. Man, they had like a cinema screen. On their booth. I mean, this thing was huge. Like it was like you were in a theater, and they had all of their advertisements going around the clock on that thing, and their displays that they had, everything under glass was just top-notch quality stuff. Upper Deck did a display booth on Michael Jordan memorabilia that was just jaw-dropping to me, anyways, being an MJ fan.
Yeah.
Stuff that was just that I have never seen before anyways. And just the way it was displayed, it was like artwork. I mean, they really outdid themselves. Those two really stand out to me.
Nice.
All right. I like it.
Nice.
I like it.
Last one, Vic, and we'll let you roll. You mentioned that, that corporate area was pretty substantial this year. Aside from the big dogs, right? The ones, the blue chip companies that we all know about, right? The PSAs, the SGCs, the Beckett's, the Paninis, the eBays. What is one of the kind of lesser known, but really shined at the show in terms of their booth and maybe kind of attraction in terms of what they're offering as a startup company or a newer company in the hobby that you may have walked by that caught your eye?
Wow, that's a great question.
I would say, I would say a lot of hobby buzz, I guess you can call it, was on the Mascot. I think the timing of their release was pretty genius marketing, and their display at the show was pretty good, and there's a lot of talk about them and what they got to offer.
Yeah. Have you messed around with that at all?
Have I what?
Have you messed around with that Mascot platform at all?
I have not had a chance. No.
Man, I'll tell you what,
it's a game changer.
It's ridiculous. I mean, I don't have a very large collection in terms of graded cards. I have maybe about 250, 260 different cards that I've graded over the last 2 years between SGC, between PSA, CGC when it was CGC or CSG or whatever. And
Arena.
But Arena doesn't. They're not on.
Arena doesn't send it back.
Yeah, they don't send theirs back. They're vaulted. But I mean, what I have here in my Pelican case, right, in terms of like what I have as collection.
I got you.
It took me every bit of 15 minutes to get every single graded card that I have with high resolution images, accurate descriptions into that system. And if I would have had all of that information stored in some sort of a spreadsheet or some sort of a CSV file or even a PDF file, it would have taken no less than 2 to 3 minutes. I mean, that platform is insane in terms of ease of use. And we're really interested to see kind of how that whole thing pans out, because they are solving a really big problem with how easy they are making it to sell.
I got to check it out for sure. And you know who else, guys? Arena had people wrapped around their booth like the whole week.
Yeah,
so
really.
For Arena.
I know Jeter was there day 1 or day 2. It may have been. But you're saying the whole weekend it's been pretty hyped up over there, huh?
Every time I walk by there's a lot of action going on now. You know, HGA on the other hand, brother, there was
really
nothing but crickets there, brother. I don't know.
Wow, that's hilarious.
Yeah.
There doesn't seem to be a whole lot of buzz for them anymore, man. I still think they serve a niche, a very small niche in the market. With their custom labels and all that stuff and how they do it, and they're the only ones that offer a horizontal label. So from that standpoint, they have a little bit that they're holding on to, but I gotta imagine that if they didn't have that offering, man, they probably would have been gone by now.
Yeah.
That's interesting. Crickets at HGA, man.
It was, brother.
That's
all right,
tough,
guys. I'll leave you with my favorite pickup.
Oh, nice.
Oh, Big Roger.
Is that a Tiffany?
That's a Tiffany.
Oh, you slide
Tiffany.
Dog. You
nice.
Slide
Near
dog.
mint 8 too. That's a killer grade.
Hey, that was the first card, not a Tiffany, but a Clemens rookie was the first card I ever bought out of the Hall of Fame back in like 1980 something when I went as a kid.
Yeah.
The first card I bought, Roger Clemens.
Yeah.
Good stuff, man.
I
love the Rocket.
Yeah, man. Well, Vic, again, man, we appreciate your time. We know you got some dinner reservations lined up with some good folks over there with the Hobby Hotline folks. That's going to be probably a lot of good conversation going on there, hobby wise, man.
A lot of laughing.
A lot of laughing. I look forward to all your content that you're going to be doing, man. We really appreciate it. To everybody that's watching, if you want to check out Vic's channel, the link's in the description down at the bottom. Please check him out. Please subscribe. Vic, man, we appreciate it, dude.
Thank you, guys. Have a good night.
Thanks a lot, guys.
Take care, buddy.
All right. Thanks, everybody, for watching. We appreciate y'all. Love y'all. Peace.